Hey, it's Chris, Liege Games. Let's do this. Now, this is going to be an extra special week because, like, there's nothing really hardly to talk about. There's not really a whole lot of stuff that came out, but I didn't not want to do a video because I was looking at the videos last week, and that's why I titled that one slightly differently, is, like, I've been doing this for, like, 65 weeks, which, you know, compared to a lot of the other people out there is, like, but for me, I mean, I was like, holy cow! 65 weeks of doing like this video weekly, which is insane to me. But yeah, there you go. So this video this week is going to be a little different. I'm going to talk about like the one or two things that kind of popped up. Call of Killforth got delayed for some reasons, but I saw it posted about on Board Game Geek, and so I imagine that one will be coming out any day now. But what I thought I would do this week is let's talk about some of the big campaigns that are out there. You know, I don't do a lot of the updates, a lot of the where are they nows always, because frankly they always kind of get lost in the shuffle, and I've got like a dozen other games I'm talking about that are new. But let's talk about some of the ones that are out there on my thoughts on them since they have evolved, since they have come, because a couple of them are going to be ending shortly after this video airs. And some of you are probably going, hey, what am I going to do with this campaign? How do I feel about this campaign now? Where are things at? And some have been going on forever, it seems like. We'll talk about it, but I was just looking at the popularity page earlier this afternoon, and Harakiri is ending in like 4 days from when I'm filming this, and Weather Machine, we're still talking about Weather Machine still has 8 days left. Isn't that weird? It feels weird. But that's what this video is going to be about. So let's talk mainly on that side of things. The other weird thing that I've seen lately is there have been a lot of non-game pages infiltrating the top popularity. I mean, we've got one RPG there, dice right there, minis, game that's a whole nother topic. I didn't even cover that one. So we're seeing a lot of other stuff here, even on the predominantly, most of the time, this like top, what is this, 12? Most of the time, like 10 of the 12 or 8 of the 12 are board games, tabletop games. And we're seeing less and less of that. And I almost wish Kickstarter would allow us to filter it even further in a way. At the same time, I don't want them messing with things anymore because they've not shown the best side of that. So, okay, let's talk about it. Let's just go straight through these. Voyages. I remember talking about Voyages. Let's go straight there. Voyages is killing it. This one-page, print-at-home, £4 game. This is going to be interesting because this brings a whole different light of what you can do on crowdfunding, right? $47,000. There is something to be said of accessibility. There is something still to be said of the roll-in rights. There is something to be said of the slightly heavier roll-in rights as well, that this sort of falls in. And it definitely falls into that. And a price point that you can afford. This is one of those, and we'll talk about 9 Kingdoms in here in a minute, or 9-minute Kingdoms, I mean, as games that are bringing accessibility and games that I do not look at as just like, well, I'm just going to try this one, and if it doesn't work out, well, it's another, 20 or 30 bucks. I mean, this is 4. Again, I don't routinely tell people to do that, but it's something different, and you can laminate it. That's the other great thing about a lot of these roll-in rights is lamination. And this is different because look how you're going across the map. I don't see a lot of other ones of that ilk. Again, I'm not heavy roll-in right, but it's sandbox style, they're calling it. So that's just intriguing. And so if you haven't checked this one out, I'm not going to go too much into it, but it's definitely worth it because you know what? There's no FOMO attached to it. There's no any of that. 3 maps now, if you really want to get more challenges, that's cool. I didn't have a clue about that. So I like going back to these and seeing. Now, is the 3 map? No, it's just still that. There you go. You get 3 maps. 3 maps, £4. Check it out. If you're not backing it, you like rolling rights, you're missing out here. Let's go next to Mindbug. Mindbug here, again, 44 hours at the time of me filming this. You guys have heard me talk about this in the other videos. I don't know, because it's a weird game in the sense that I just can't stop thinking about it as a 2-player dueling game. And that's intriguing because a lot of these that I play that are lighter, I kind of either stick with me or they just don't, right? They're just, nope, played today, gone tomorrow side of things. And again, a lot of you have commented on the price point. especially with the price point being $29, because that is a little bit more expensive for a lighter style. Like, this is on the opposite end of the extremes of Voyages in that sense, where this is at the extreme cheaper end of getting a great value. This is bordering on the higher end of getting a good value, because I would argue the replayability is there with the smaller size. It just is. I might just be getting the upgrade pack because I have the base set. Again, I wish you didn't really need the limited Kickstarter edition box. You could go somewhere in between these two, like for, 22 or something like that. Because I don't like the pledge locked, upgrade pack there. It's $11 for that essentially, but they're throwing in the Kickstarter edition box. And if you're like me, or if you're overseas, I know a lot of you overseas guys have commented that like the shipping on this is going to be like another 15 or 18 bucks. And that's putting 43, and that's expensive for a small deck game. Now, is it a good game? Yeah, it is. It's a good game. I have no qualms about saying that. You're using 10 cards on each side of the whole deck of like the 48 cards that are originally there before the upgrade pack. So, like I said, the depth is there from that side of things. I think, the question is the value. The value is really going to be whether or not this limited edition, Kickstarter box means anything at the retail side of things down the line. And I don't really know. I sometimes people go hype crazy over these things, like with Here to Slay and the other one, Unstable Unicorns, and other times people are just like, meh, doesn't really matter. And I have no clue on that side of things. So either way, I mean, again, 8,400 people, 8,700 people, there's a lot. And that's a lot because, 265,000 euro there, which is not, hey, wait, that means I just totally realized if you didn't watch last week's video, why am I so excited? I put the over-under on Mindbug at 300,000. Haha, boom! Liege calling that one. Pretty good at this. Anyway, okay, so that's Mindbug. Those are my thoughts on the upgraded. And I haven't really looked at what the upgraded pack comes with, though. Again, I don't think you need the playmat. This isn't a game that really needs a playmat. The deluxe box is fine, whatever. 4 of them, reduced pledge. Maybe if you guys are foreign, the reduced pledge right here is really what you need to do. That's really what it is. Let's see. Yeah. So here is the upgrade pack as a quick note before I finish this one. No stretch goals, which is fine. 34 additional cards, 12 new creatures as duplicates, and 6 new promo cards. I don't think you need 4-player mode, but that's almost essentially doubling the size of the game. So $29 all of a sudden for almost double the size of the game. Okay, that's not a bad deal, actually. That's just the question is, what's the price point going to be? Can you sell a single card deck game for $20 before retail? I have no idea. Outside of my distribution knowledge, but that's it. There you go. Okay, let's go down to the next one. Borderlands. This is an interesting one. You can see that I still have my pledge. 13 days to go. But with every new update that comes, I find myself wanting this less and less. Again, not because I necessarily think it's going to be a bad game, but it's going more of the traditional Kickstarter FOMO route of throwing in expansion after expansion after expansion. What I would have preferred with this is you've got the $135 pledge here. You're getting one expansion. Maybe throw in another expansion for free and then just call it good. Call it done. Not this 1 expansion, 2 expansion, 3 expansion more. And that's what I don't like, because I don't relate to any of these characters. So I'm not a Borderlands person. I've never played Borderlands. The only other reason that I'm looking at this is because it's emphasizing something more along the lines of my Cthulhu Death May Die-esque co-op experience, because we don't have a lot else out there that is similar. I haven't looked at the gameplay, though, because there's only a learn to play, which, again, is very discouraging. Again, not because I'm saying I want to see previews and I want to see a whole bunch of positive, toxic positivity on these pages that the board game preview pages have become full of, but just something to give me an example of more of what it's playing like. Because with dice like this, I could see this going very one way or the other in terms of enjoyability. Because dice are already quite dividing, and this is just going to divide it more. How are these mechanics incorporated? Because I'm not sure the rule book really gives me the best feeling of that. Scenario based, I'm fine. Again, they said that they're doing campaign now. I don't want this to be a campaign. That's one of the nice things, weirdly enough, about Cthulhu Death May Die, right? You don't have to campaign. You just play. Set up, mix and match, and go. And that's kind of all I want. Otherwise, I'm worrying about you're making me pay for the additional mode that I don't want. I'm looking at you, Bloodlands, right? Bloodlands, the one that didn't work out that they're going to come back with. I'm probably messing the title up. You know what I'm talking about, though. Bloodstones. Bloodstones. There we go. That's how I'm doing right now. That's what kind of week it's been. So, I mean, the idea is there. The potential is there. And this is the one video. And so I'm going to have to watch this video. And again, where is all of the other stuff? And how much of this is just playing off the name in the first place? But like I said, day goes on, I'm less and less intrigued, but I'm going to probably watch it for a little bit longer before I decide to, or not, get rid of it. So let's go over to the next one. I'm not going to talk about Atmosphere. I'm not going to get into that. This video-based board game, not going to do it. 9 Minute Kingdoms, 14,000. So what is that? 12,000 euros now? And I believe, you can see again, I'm pledging it. Strong filler. I like that. They reached out to me. I need to get back to them because they wanted to use my quote from one of the other weeks. So, which I'm all for. It looks like it does look like a strong filler. And again, I'll comment on that right now. Strong filler. Filler for too long has been gatekeeped and used as a negative. I love fillers. I mean, I've got a couple of fillers right here behind me. Mandela. I've got Land and Sea sitting right there. I've got, the Cuphead game right here. They're all fillers. Fillers are great. Fillers are what get played a lot. People talk about not being able to get games played. Well, yeah, if your expectation is you're going to play a 3 or 4 hour game and you can't find a time during the week where you can play 3 or 4 hours, yeah. But if you have 20 minutes with your significant other or an hour and a half here where you can play 4 games of Exceed and a game of Cuphead, I mean, because that's really what we want, right? We want to play. And this just looks like an individually drafting, hand-based, card-based version of King Domino. And I got rid of King Domino because I thought it was a little too samey. My kids could play it, and that's the other side of things that I kind of like about this, is that it looks simple enough that my kids could play, but it also looks with some of these additions that it's going to be a little bit more complex too. But also, again, 9 minutes. So hopefully the 9 minutes stays true. I mean, what was it? The 10-minute game a while ago, like 5-6 years ago. 10-minute Legends, Sea battling 10-minute kingdoms. You know what I'm talking about, though. It's one of those days, too. I wasn't kidding. It's one of those days. Again, 10 cards, pass them around, draft them, play a 3x3 grid, and you're done. And again, let's see how many stretch goals we've hit here. Again, the print and play is 5. If you're gonna do it yourself, I mean, you might as well get it for 9 because it's barely any difference. 6 copies, again, 48. It's fine. 20 copies. I don't know. I kind of want to just get like 20 copies. Like if they would let me, like, I know that says retail verification, like 20 copies, and just like pass them out at my work, pass them out at like my kids' school, and just say, here, go take this game home and go play with your kids, or sell them for €5. I don't know. I've had that like Mr. Beast thing in my head where just buying like this, spending the money that I get from the small amount of the ad revenue that I get from making these videos and just buying a pledge like this at some point for a game that's like solid but small and can be passed out, and just doing that. I think that would be something I would love. Like, I'm surprised one of the bigger channels hasn't done this, like Man vs. Meeple or Dice Tower or Board Game Co. or Quackalope, where they just haven't bought like a pledge level like this and just done that. Because I would love to do that. I would love to do that, but not big enough. But yeah, I mean, these are all your other little things that they're adding, new little expansions. Now, I guess the one concern I would have is I hope these are all pre-planned. I hope these are all like, you have the depth of testing to go along with this, and it's not going to make things too difficult or too complex of the nuance that makes the game simpler and better in the first place. That would be my only fear. There you go. Semi-co-op. Not sure about that, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. 3 to 6 players. Okay. Build 2, play 1, sort of the between two cities aspects. Whatever. Card sleeves, don't need them. Don't know about the suits whatsoever, but there you go. Shipping the rest of the world, €5, 14 euros total. I am going to be hard-pressed not to get this at this point. 8 days to go. There you go. Going back to things here, you'll see I wasn't kidding. Harakiri, 4 days left. And let's go down to the next page so we can kind of see what else. I did one of the Paladin seasons a while ago to get sleeves for Madara. That's the only time I've ever bought in sleeves in my life for any game. So what else we got? We got, like, see, Weather Machine, 8 days. Not kidding. It's there. I think this can be made for an argument that a campaign is just too long. I would love to see the kick track data for Weather Machine. I'll pull it up actually now that we're talking about it. Let's see what else we got here. Kingmaker dice table. Valeria. Let's check that out. 63,000. Ooh, that's kind of like leveled off too. Let's see what else we got going here in terms of stuff we'll talk about here in a minute. Steven Rhodes, I'm not terribly interested in. Man versus Meeple. Let's talk about that one as well. And let's see what else we got coming here in a minute. Before we go into those individual pages. Not a whole lot else right now I think we need to talk about. So let's go back to those. I guess we'll talk about Canosa, which launched as well. So now, Harakiri. $600,000. Again, by all means, all accounts, $600,000 for a game from a first-time sort of company on this stage is amazing. It's great. I have battled this one back and forth, and I think my answer, honestly, is just probably going to be not. Not because I don't like it, not because I think it's doing anything poorly, but because, again, sort of like Darkest Dungeon, I think, is the closest comparison I can make to this. I would say the very same thing about Darkest Dungeon. I think the basement on it is going to be very high. But I also am not sure about the peak of it, which I think could be high as well. But I look at it from like the Darkest Dungeon side of things very similarly in those aspects, that I go, am I going to play this over some of the other ones I have? Or some of the, more importantly, some of the ones I have already bought and have coming? Am I going to play this over Primal? Am I going to play this over Senko Kushin? Am I going to play this over Cthulhu Death May Die? And that was where I had to sit down and say, you know, can I spend $226 before shipping of, you know, and I would assume, I would just throw it out there as a shipping of $50 at this point. I'm going to assume CMON level pricing for shipping. You know, under, you want to say maybe $35 for US. So essentially $260. And as cool as these miniatures are, and as much as I liked, especially the adventure phase, I just don't think I can, because again, not because I don't like it, not because I think it's bad, but because I don't think I can get it played. 2 years ago, especially before I started this channel, 2-3 years ago, I would be backing this game without question. But nowadays, I mean, I just sold 2 games from my collection. I just sold 2 bigger box games, but because I want to make room and because they just weren't ever going to hit the table. And so I got a lot of space from that side of things. And that's how I look at this at this point. What I'm more surprised about is the number of backers. I would have expected more backer numbers, but I think, again, that goes to the price point, which I give them a lot of kudos, though, because what my biggest complaint has been with some of these biggest projects is that they throw in a whole bunch of expansions and add-ons as the campaign goes. And I'm looking at you, CMON, I'm looking at you, Awakened Realms, I'm looking at you, was it Stone Sword Games, Senjutsu. Just add-on after add-on after add-on. And I like the fact that, okay, here you go, up front, here's what it is. Boom, there you go, all in, or not. Primal, speaking of Primal, I loved that Primal did that. A lot of people were turned off. I loved that Monster Hunter did that, for the most part. Say what you will about how you feel about the game, but I prefer more transparency in the pricing and the upfrontness about what we're offering. I just do. Because a lot of this, with all of these bigger campaigns, it's all pre-planned. Some of the smaller ones, you know, 9-Minute Kingdoms, I'm sure they weren't expecting to hit anywhere near, you know, 14,000 euros at this point. They just weren't. And that's okay. And I just hope they're not doing too much then. But I think it's okay for these campaigns to say, hey guys, this is all we got. Look at Townsfolk Tussle. The success of Townsfolk Tussle. They were great. They said, hey guys, we are not willing to go beyond this. I don't care how much you beg or how many thousands and thousands of dollars we hit over our stretch goals. We are staying within our lane of, we know we can do this product really, 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 really well. And if we give you extra, we can't guarantee it's going to be as good. And what we want is a good game, not necessarily the largest game. Scope is not always a situation of more is better. It's not. And that's okay. That's completely okay. Again, I'm not arguing the miniatures. I'm not arguing the pledge levels. I mean, I don't think you're going to get a bad value. You could make the one argument you could make is if you go, okay, these games come around a second time if they do really, really well. I'm going to wait for the 2.0 version. You want to make that argument because there's not a ton that's like exclusive here, I think. I don't know. I wasn't really looking at the stretch goals too much. None of these really say exclusive. So if you want to make that argument to me, sure. I have no quarrels about that. The only question is then, well, one, you'll know how good it is after people get it and more opinions come out from that sense, if that's what you prefer. You'll also know you may or may not get a better deal because sometimes the 2.0s are a slightly better deal with what comes of them. Sometimes they require upgrade packs. Sometimes we see Wild Ascent where you're getting essentially almost a new game and it's not as compatible or compatible at all. And that's the risk or benefit of being an early adopter. It is. And sometimes it pays off in spades like Madara and Kingdom Death. And sometimes it's Wild Ascent where you're better off at the 2.0 version or Kingdom Rush for that matter. I'd say the 2.0 version is going to be much better than the 1.0 version. And the 1.0 version was good. So that's what you're looking at here. And, to each their own. There you go. That's what you're looking at there. Harakiri, interesting conversations. Weather Machine. Let's pull up the kick track here. So here we have the kick track for Weather Machine, and this thing doesn't really show you much right there, but let's look at the daily data here. The daily data, it actually, I'm going to turn my head so I can read this with you. So they're gaining about anywhere from, interestingly enough, about $3,000 to $6,000 a day. About 40 backers or so is what it looks like. Which, is that good? I don't know with campaigns like this. I just don't have a clue when you're going more than month-long campaigns, if that's good to be getting $6,000 a day, or, what does it really make a difference? Would you be getting $12,000 a day if you have that? I don't have a clue. Because as far as I'm aware, and I'm not keeping up with it, obviously, because this is not a game that is marketed towards me. This is too heavy for me. But let's just check out the updates here a second. Playmats, MVM's 5 things you should know. That's interesting that they hyped that during the MVM campaign. A little cross promotion there. That's nice. There's not a whole lot of other add-ons. There's a little bit of stretch goals here. New add-on tiles there. So, I mean, again, Eagle Griffin Games lately with these Lacerdas, you're better off getting them from the Kickstarter. It's usually a slightly better price. The other interesting thing I would love to see, and I wish there was some way of breaking this down, because, I mean, the game is $130. I don't care. Whatever. It is what it is. You can price it out, and is it worth it or not, or blah, 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 blah. What I'm talking about, besides these little stretch goals, which, again, that's where it's going to be worth it, because they don't often offer all of these elsewhere, or as easily, or for as good a price. This is where it comes in. Okay, we'll get past all the videos here. Just kidding. Here we go. Add-ons. Again, don't care about those, don't care about those, don't care about this. This is where I would love to see the breakdown, because I've seen a lot of people say, I want the Kickstarter edition because the Kickstarter edition for these other games is a better deal than what is at retail or what is in the secondary market. And so I would love to know how much of this almost $1 million is these other Kickstarter editions. I would love to know behind the scenes. Is it 10%? Is it 30%? Because there's obviously a reason you keep it or have them in stock, because it makes money from here. So again, just a thought on that trend of things as well. But that's Weather Machine and where it's at. 3 new Valeria games, 63,000. And I believe when I was looking at this originally, I mean, this is a lot of money for games, but they're offering, I think, mostly all of them like a little expansion to go along with it. So it reminds me more of like Cartographer's Heroes, where they were offering more expansions at a better deal. And I feel like, were these? I don't know. I think these were about the same, but these were still the day one, week one funding. I think these were more spread out than people thought. And you can see now that, I mean, they've only hit 4-ish. They'll hit 5. Which, again, say what you will. Stretch goals, true, fake. Are they going to unlock it if it didn't hit? Whatever. But 3 different games, and are people really interested in all 3 of these? And I think that's the problem with these multi-tier game campaigns. And I know why you do them, because it's probably cheaper to print all 3 of them at once than have them go separately. But I also think it sort of limits your market, because a lot of these people only want 1 or 2. And sometimes if they only want one or two, then they're willing to wait for that one and see if it's going to be cheaper at retail, or they'll wait and see like me and try and get it on the secondary market. Again, Valeria, cool. Kingdoms, I probably should have bought it on the last campaign. I didn't do my campaign manager. I decided not to back it on Darksworn, so I'm kind of regretting that one still. And so like if they had said like you could get like Darksworn and that stuff, the Kickstarter price, like Weather Machine did with theirs, I might be in on this, but I don't think that's the case actually. I think it's really just for these three and nothing else, which is fine. Again, I understand it from both sides of things. So a few new stretch goals here with it. But if you really want to get 3 games, are 3 of these games worth 70, potentially 90, closer to $100 with shipping? No idea. But again, if you like all 3, great. But if you don't, check it out either way. Now let's talk Man vs. Meeple. This is another one that was like a lot longer than I expected when it launched. And this has been very interesting. This is a very interesting test of the market as well, too. It still isn't funded. It's been going on now for considerable amount of time. Let's check here for a second. If you can get to the bottom of all the pledges, the 300 different pledges that they have. Oh, it's not going to tell me what day it launched down here. Let's see. We'll go back to the updates because that will tell me when it launched. It launched on November 24. So it seems like a lot longer than 2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks though, and that's weird because I mean, this is one of the biggest channels out there, right? This is providing promos and promos and promos. But if anything, I would argue that a lot of the promos have not been the driving and selling thing. It's been all of these other pledges and pledges and pledges and pledges and pledges and pledges and deals that we don't see on a lot of the other campaigns. I mean, look at this Cthulhu Death May Die bundle, right? $300 for the base game, Season 2, and the Unspeakable box. That is what's driving this campaign. The promos aren't. And I wonder if more people are wondering and having more thoughts like me, because I looked at this and I said, yeah, I like getting promos. The all-in, though, for 60, the pick 3, great. Pick 3 for 25. But then you have sort of this, well, we're not going to allow you to get some of the ones that you really want onto the pick 3. Right? And that's sort of irritating. If you're going to do a pick 3, I feel like you need to have everything available. And that otherwise I feel like is driving FOMO. And, you know, I see criticisms all over the place about it from creators and people in my shoes. And then to have them sort of do the FOMO as well, it's kind of, man, really? It's just kind of, I understand. I'm disappointed, but I understand. And so I guess I'm wondering if a lot of people just aren't doing that side of things anymore. If they're just like, you know what, I'm not going to worry about the FOMO. I'm not going to worry about the completionist. Because, I mean, there's only 362 people doing the promo pack. And I would argue that's probably a lot less than a lot of the other campaigns for Game Boy Geek or Dice Tower or maybe even their previous ones. I don't know, but it just seems like an awfully low number, even for the pick 3, 196. So, what is that? 792, and you've got 792... You've got 196 plus 362. So you have almost half your backers not getting... Well, you have almost half your backers getting other things than the actual main promos that you're offering. Which is a huge percentage then of more. Because I would think, you know, based on the number of these, that you would want most of your things to come from others. And, you know, granted, the bundles are probably the best deal. Because you're getting the promo packs on top of the games that are included with them. So it's just surprising the way that's kind of broken down. It's surprising the way it's funded. And I think that's because people are looking at that and going, I don't really need 37 different promos for games of which I only own 12. Because people used to go in on these as a group and split them up. And people used to buy them and sell them on the secondary market. But I think the promo thing, especially since the pandemic has happened, is the interest on promos has kind of died down a bit. And I wonder if that's some of what you're seeing too. So there you go. One of the only new ones this week, Canosa. I had no clue how this was going to go. No clue what it was going to look like. It's only got 37 people backing $2,000 worth right now. So we'll touch on this. It's a siren-based mythology game, but it's abstract. Standard edition, and I think a deluxe edition too. The deluxe edition is super expensive though, and so they've done a combination of their previous 2 campaigns, one of which fulfilled and one of which didn't. And again, it's a beautiful looking game, but I don't know, and I just don't know if it's a beautiful looking game here, but I just don't know based on the description and the mechanics whether or not I would like it. And I say that as an abstract lover. And I don't think I, again, as an abstract lover, am willing to spend $125 before shipping on an abstract, no matter how beautiful it is. That was why I didn't get a copy of the Shogi game at the beginning of the year. That was beautifully done with acrylics. Just too much money for that of what else I can get. Buying power elsewhere. Price per opportunity. So, again, it's an easy game to learn. You move the siren. You transfer a ring from the siren to the sailor. You move the sailor you control, or you withdraw it back to your siren. And you're just trying to get them over to your side. And you can attack the other sirens. Again, you win by getting a sailor over there, and you either have 4 or you trap your opponent. I mean, so it's a nice game, but I just don't know when I've got things like Tsar and Yinch and Zerts for a fraction of the price. For all 3 of those, less than this, you can throw Talk and Hive on it as well from the deluxe edition. That's a tough pedigree to go up against. That's why abstracts are so difficult to see and to predict on crowdfunding in general. Because they're niche. They're niche. I admit it. I love them, but they're niche. Not everyone does. A couple more here and we'll be done, I promise. So Pathfinder Arena. This is very, very interesting. This has been losing money for like the last week and a half. It's down to 118,000. When I talked about it, I think when it launched, shortly after it launched, it was at like 130, 140,000 euros total. And it's down to 3 days left. And I've got the kick track information here up again. And you can see here, this is the trend. Look at that. That's almost since day 2. It's almost been going down. Negative here since day 4, almost on a daily basis, except for 1 day here. Losing backers almost the majority of the days as well. That's very interesting. And I think this is suffering from early birds expecting things to continue unlocking. And then when things did not finish as quickly and they did not adapt to the stretch goals, to the daily unlocks, like we saw with most classically Trudvang, which totally changed the Simon model since then, I think it's stalled. And people have been what they want and what they were perceiving the value versus what they were getting. And they've included standees. And again, I don't think it's a bad game. But I think it's just going up against such competition that we've seen over the last month that's where people are being concerned. The amount of money for what it is not insignificant. I think, again, I'll reiterate this. The 2 mechanics that I really liked, the ability to switch your stats around in between rounds and base it, and change how many interactions and how many turns and how far you can move and how strong you are, I think is really clever. And I like the moving board. But there were other areas that just were a little bit less appealing. And so, specifically the rounds, like I think it could have been 3 rounds instead of 4. Some of the stretch goals, adding more monsters, and they're, really, they've changed this page around since I've looked at it last. All these stretch goals, including the exclusives, are now up at top. So they're really trying to attract it from that side of things. So, again, it's doing some good stuff, but I think it's just the way the campaign was structured that's kind of, not been appealing to most people, with people wanting nowadays, feeling entitled to, I need to get the most value I can on Kickstarter. I only get crowdfunding that is valuable. And I think this is suffering for that reason from that side of things, regardless of how you feel about right or wrong. But we'll see where it ends up. We'll see what happens with it. Pathfinder Arena. We'll just talk about a couple more quick ones. 2 that I'm personally backing. Just, throw a little shout out there. One of 27. I need to figure out if this is going to actually get a print and play copy or if it's going to be printed, because I believe at the bottom it says, as this Magic Sword Tactics solo deck building tower defense game. Tower defense deck building. Come on, people. Keywords there. Because it says something at the bottom here. If they only get like under, what is it, like 100,000 yen, they're not going to do the printed. I need to figure that out because I want a printed copy of this if I'm going to get it. And then Bestride. I think a couple of you are checking out Bestride with me. This completely unique dexterity card flicking measuring game across the tabletop, which is probably the biggest lock for me of the games I'm getting right now. So you can see right there, I'm getting the standard because they're going to have English paste ups and it's going to be Just kind of cool. That's what you're going to be doing. X-Wing with fantasy and cards instead of miniatures. That's how I look at it, at least. I think it's going to be cool. It's probably not going to meet my expectations, but I like taking a risk on these things. Last up but not least is the trick-taking games of American Bookshop and Cinderella's Dance, which is, again, is blowing it out the water. This has a better pedigree because American Bookshop has been known on this side of the pond for years. Some of the bigger Japanese followers in terms of games that I know on around America online on Board Game Geek, they have been promoting American Bookshop for years, like promoting it, saying it's a really good game. And so it doesn't surprise me. And Cinderella's Dance actually seems like a really good one too, but I can't do trick taking. I just got Ghost of Christmas from Board Game Tables in the mail, literally today, and I just realized that's going to be really hard for me to play, and I love the game it's basically a retheme of. And that's also why I didn't end up backing that Zombies or Zilches one that one of you guys in the comment section asked about. But if you're looking for really, really good trick taking and you don't have anything like this, I would highly recommend you check this one out again. Again, I just can't get trick taking played. Same to Harakiri at this point. I can't get the crew played, folks. And the crew is, the crew. So, again, check it out if you're interested, but that's all I got. There you go. Something new, something different, a little bit, different for me as well this week because I wasn't expecting to do a video like this at all today. But I thought it'd be more interesting than knowing nothing, and I like talking about these games, and I like looking back at them. Now I've had more time to review them rather than just you're getting my first blitzed impression and kind of going crazy. I'm Chris Farley, big man, a little coat. Anyway, that's all I got. How many of you are actually going to get that reference? Big guy in a little coat. Anyway, or fat guy in a little coat. Richard! I'm going to get like 2 comments in the comment section of people that are actually understanding those references. Chris Farley, look him up. Funny guy. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. Stay classy. Have a great weekend. I got a couple nice top 5, top 10 videos coming out maybe in the next week or so. You'll like them. They're good. They're quality. I'm very proud of them. Really. I am. For those of you that are staying around this long,